Action.
Why did you want to join the police force?
It's always been an ambition of mine since I was a little boy. I feel I have a calling to protect and serve.
Stop, police!
Red, White and Blue, which stars John Boyega as Leroy Logan, is the true story of a black police officer, Leroy Logan, who, having been a successful research scientist at the Royal Free Hospital, decided to join the police force in 1981.
I applied to combat negative attitudes. There are divisions and misunderstandings, and I think I could change that.
He was a dedicated police officer, though, in fact, he suffered a great deal of racism within the force itself.
Control 360 on site, backup requested. Leroy Logan is one of the first black police officers in the London Met. He's a massive community man, connects with so many people in his area that he felt like his expertise when needed in a job that was more on ground, and that directly affects the people around him.
Look at you! Oh, Lee said that you joined up, but I thought, no way.
He's loving, charming, funny, loves British funk.
Go there, Leroy.
Has a best friend called Lee and lives a big family-orientated life.
I'm playing Kenneth Logan, who is the father of our lead protagonist, Leroy Logan. Something horrific happens to his father at the hands of the police, which makes his decision all the more wrought and causes something of a rift between him and his father.
You were supposed to take what you learn and show Allah we are different way. You made us feel like we could be a part of everything. You wanted us more British than the British.
It's easy to make that decision in 2020, but back then, like, black people had a problem with it, white people had a problem with it.
I thought you were cool. What happened to you?
It's just important for those stories to be told so that we can stop the ignorance, the erased culture which wants to come in, control the way in which our history was.
If this gave people an indication of just how tough it has been and how well we have done, how we have triumphed and continue to triumph, I think that would be a job well done.
Some of the benefits that you're experiencing, some of the stability that you're experiencing in this system is based on a bunch of Caribbean people that came onto a boat and helped build it up. And this is to put an eye on them and to actually in some way thank them for their input, because they don't get enough praise.
Why do you back me? I'm out there on the field with no backup.
Good afternoon. No response. Good afternoon. It's good to be here. Did anyone see the film at all? Only 2 hands. It's still on iPlayer, so you can always go and see it. It's quite surreal seeing yourself being played by an A-lister. When I joined the police service in 1983, I didn't think years later not only a film would be made, why would they? And then, of course, to have getting BAFTAs and Golden Globes for it. So, but nevertheless, it's a journey that I'm very proud of. And even though the film is very good with all those awards, as I said, it's just a starter. The main course is my book, Closing Ranks, My Life as a Cop. And again, it's still on Amazon and other outlets. So don't feel shy getting a copy. But what comes out of that journey for myself and my family is not to allow what surrounds you to consume what's within you. I'll repeat that. Don't allow what surrounds you to consume what's within you. And I think that's where you can go in any profession, any vocation. Sometimes we're so busy and so many things are happening and you feel like everything's closing in. But the essence of it is, despite all of that, just maintain what truly is the authentic you. Now, I no longer have any police powers. Nevertheless, I need to arrest your attention to ensure that I can stop and search your thinking. You know where I'm going with this, right? And I can convict you on the reflections of your 3 days conference. Now, as it's been said, you are the real stalwarts. You've stuck at it. You're here, and you're thinking, what can an ex-cop say or really do for me right now? I just want to get home. But I think, like as I've said, there are various themes in our individual journeys can actually transpose to different vocations and different occupations. As it's already been said, I got an award, the AoC award in 2010. Hopefully, I'm flicking the... Hold on. Is it coming? There I am. I look quite happy there, right? Yeah, that's 2010 at the House of Lords, and got the award, which has pride of place in my home in London. In fact, I brought it with me because it means so much. And why I've just highlighted that photo is to say that there's a story behind the smile. Because after 30 years in the Met and going through a lot of toxic culture, a lot of really hard work to change that culture through the formation of not only the Met, but the National Black Police Association, I still got a smile on my face because I was literally only had 3 years to go. And I already knew I was leaving. I'd already got my exit strategy. But not to say public service ended there. It was actually continuing to this very day. I retired in 2013, 12 years ago, and I'm still in public service. It's something you just can't switch off. And you as public servants for your communities, in your colleges and other academic forums, have that service, and it will continue. You can't help it because that's what is the golden thread through you, and you pass that on. So I'm just so pleased I still had that smile. It could be an advert for a toothpaste. And I've still got them, thankfully. Because, occupational hazards, sometimes people get really violent and you don't have such an original smile. So, one of the things I wanted to highlight as well, I feel at home here. It's a lovely set, isn't it? I mean, gosh, I feel I could do a song and dance thing, is in 1999, we actually launched the National Black Police Association here. Now, who would have thought, 26 years later, one, the National BPA is still in existence and doing a lot of hard work to work at a strategic level, policy changes, really understanding the importance of the practical applications of equality, diversity, and inclusion, and able to deal with the pushbacks. But more importantly, they're present in what they do. Because you have to be present to really make an impact. You've got to be consistently present. And if there's anything I'm guilty of is being present, even in retirement. And it's, again, a very surreal moment being here all these years later. But I really want to emphasize how the AoC has an impact on my life. I'm actually a product of you. Don't all cheer at once, but I am a product of you. Because I went to college in Hackney Community College in London, East London. All years that I want to divulge, but it was in the early 70s, over 50 years ago. And what it did for me was I went to a boys' school, very boisterous, not really taking my studies as serious as I should, and they shaped me up. They said, you're not a child here, you're an adult, a young adult, shape up, or ship out. I embraced that more mature attitude. It was a great transition for me from school to college. And in fact, one of my lecturers who reached out to me, especially when I'd started policing, was a young man, he's 83 now, called Neil Gerard. Does anyone know Neil Gerard? Ever heard of him? No? Well, he used to be one of the lecturers at Hackney Community College. And as I said, he reached out to me when I was in policing. And he actually became an MP, my local area in East London, in Walthamstow. And he was an MP for many years. And he's still active. And I just say that because he actually fed into me so many things about resilience, determination, understanding how you work in a system and how you get the best out of it. So it gave me a sense of, okay, I can do stuff. And I'd already had a good sense of identity because of my background and parents, going back to Jamaica, and the educational side and the cultural side. I knew who I was. And that's why the college helped me on that journey, and it then went on to being a research scientist, and then policing. And as you saw in the film, it was despite my father being badly beaten up by officers over a traffic matter. And even though he sued them for unlawful arrest and excessive force, I was still joining the ranks of the officers who beat him up. And I remember when, not wishing to drop names, but Sir Steve McQueen, who directed that film, he asked me, Leroy, what sort of love is that when you can join the ranks of the officers who beat up your dad? If you say you love him, why would you do that? But you know that's what a vocation is all about. Sometimes it goes against normal responses. It actually can create quite a lonely road. And it can make you question, why would you take on this role? But the really interesting thing about that is as you go along this journey and you start to retread paths that you've walked along, it starts to make sense because you start to pay attention of things a bit more. It's like being a grandfather, and I'm paying attention more to my grandchildren than I really did with my children because I'm busy doing policing stuff. But with my grandchildren, I can do things much better. And it's just like this journey coming back to the ICC and paying attention to the atmosphere and what brought me here, and to say to you that you have so much that you give. as it was touched on in the introduction, I started a charity called Void Youth. It came out of the Black Police Association 25 years ago. And I didn't really know how long it would last. And here it is, 25 years, still going strong, working with our young people to know their rights and responsibilities, to get a BTEC level 2 in year 9 in leadership. Know they can change their environment and not become a product of it, or even a victim of it. And so education is really important, because I know the importance of that. And they're in Hackney, and they're actually housed in the new City College framework. And so this road I'm treading, this path I'm going along, is actually making me pay attention of the things that I've done before and taking more from it. And I think that's what I want to pass on to you. The importance of it. You might think, oh, I've done this all before and it's not really making a difference. Believe me, it does. It might not be seeing immediate evidence of change, but you drop important seeds into people. That is so key in their lives and in the wider community. When I was in Hackney as a superintendent, I was part of the Learning Trust, which was an organisation set up while Hackney Education Department was in special measures. And I was one of the non-executive directors. And so, very uniquely, I had an opportunity to work with heads of schools and the college, Hackney College and various other colleges on the borough. Now, that was a unique experience. But what I wanted to say to them is the importance of being community leaders and the importance of civic engagement. I know you might think, okay, there's so much going on, and I was looking at your brochure, and there's so many things you have to take on board. But just by your mere presence, it can have such an impact in the community. And sometimes looking above the perimeters of your establishment in a way that you might just have to pay a bit more attention to it if you're not already. As you're going through those days and you think, I've heard it all before, or I've seen it all before, the impact you might have could be even more enhanced if you get the opportunity to just, in your very busy days, just to say, okay, am I making a difference? And I can tell you categorically, you are. So don't think it's not being understood. And I think just by having this conference is really clear to me that you know the importance of coming together, learning from each other, get that real reboot so you can go back into your organizations and hopefully bring that infectious optimism. Because if there's anything I'm good at, is being optimistic when the chips are down. Because that's the only way you can really keep on motivating yourself in a way that you can say, yes, I'm actually making a difference. So, it's 15 years since I got that award, 50 years since I was at the college, and I've seen so many things that I believe we can all relate to. We're in challenging times. We see so many things in our communities and even with our students, because even with Voyage, I'm a patron of the charity, I'm no longer the chair, and I see so many extra challenges for our young people and just getting them ready for have the right mindset for education. And then, of course, dare I say it, social media and how that is complicating things. I mean, I say this all the time. life was so much simpler without social media. It's really great when it works, but can it make life difficult? And I just want to keep on saying that even though social media is having some really hard impacts on some young people, we would just need to embrace it. And I don't even want to go down the AI route, because, of course, we don't know where that's going to end up. I think we need to understand we're the last pre-AI generation, and we are going to see some changes that we haven't really known in our lives. Your leadership is so important. It's something I realized when I was in setting up the Met and the National Black Police Association. I had to show consistent ethical leadership. I had to be consistent with that, because people were looking at me on and off duty, whatever I was doing. I had to show that I held the role in an esteem where I was not going to allow myself to slip. And it is sometimes it might feel like a bit of a millstone, but I think it's really important to say how, again, your leadership in your organizations can be so infectious. My daughter is actually a senior leader in a pupil referral unit. She's just done a master's in leadership in education. And in fact, she's on a course in London on that. And it's so great for her to know that her teaching skills and abilities have been acknowledged, and her students are really responding to that, and she doesn't want to give it up, even though she's, gets offers to do other things. And she's been in that proof for 15 years. 15 years. I like to think she's like a chip off the old block. She likes a challenge. And she's really getting results. And she won't budge from that. I mean, it's so great that you see it in close proximity. And she talks about the challenges in education. But what I've learned from her is, despite the challenges, she's not going to give up. She's going to show resilience. She's going to show purpose. She's going to show her leadership in a way that, again, confounds people. Because everyone's saying, this is a tough road you're traveling here. But she's really key to keep going and not give up, and really show an example to so many, especially our students. And that strength in character, I think we can underestimate it sometimes, but you really need to, give yourself a chance, and don't beat yourself up when things, when you're not feeling that great. Actually, a week ago today, I wasn't sure I was going to make it to this conference. My wife is here. She's here to support me because literally I was rushed to A&E twice in 10 days. But I was determined I'm going to turn up, and not only turn up, but wear my best suit and ensure that I was not going to be prevented from being with you, and to just show you my appreciation for what you do, part of this organisation. Because if you can put a smile on a superintendent who's under pressure, you can put a smile on so many other people. So I think you should give yourself a round of applause for that. You really are remarkable people. And I'm not to be patronising or undermining your intelligence or anything like that, but I just want you to understand what you do and how you do it and how important it is. So my journey then is from Hackney College, Highbury Grove, Hackney College, being part of that FE system and how it presented itself in so many amazing ways that I'm here now. But the key thing for me is what I'm still investing in. Some people say you're doing too much. But it was too much to say a week ago, I wouldn't be here, but I'm here. And I know I can do it. And I know I can do more. So some people might think, I wish you'd go away. But no, I'm going to stick with it because that's my purpose. That's what keeps me alive. That's what gives me the energy, which keeps, it's like infectious. It's infectious. And that's why I'm going to continue doing the work in public service. I'm going to continue doing the work with Voyage and those young people at NCC in East London at the Hackney campus. I'm going to continue doing the work with transition to adulthood. We were working with 18 to 25-year-olds to know how we can assist them not to prevent crime, but also prevent repeat offending. And we're starting to see some really remarkable results on how we show policymakers that, even in the justice system, that they can help young people to acknowledge those neurodiversity challenges and be rehabilitated in a way that they're not going to go back in. So I'll go into prisons. I was in Brixton Prison only a couple of weeks ago before I became ill. So I know the importance of this work. And as I said, I'm still involved in culture change. In fact, on the 27th of this month, we will be celebrating or commemorating or acknowledging even the death of a young Nigerian boy called Damilola Taylor. Has anyone heard of Damilola's case? I'm one of the board members, and we have an event to acknowledge what he did. In fact, the first chapter of my book is acknowledging his life and how the investigation took place, because I didn't know it at the time, but my wife is Damilola's cousin through his father, Richard. And I was involved in the investigation as well. So you can imagine the challenges being involved personally and then professionally. Those sort of things that having to grapple with, and the complexities to ensure we get the right outcome, in that case, a conviction. So Damilola Taylor is really important to me, and we have also, he was actually killed 10 days before his birthday. So we're acknowledging his heavenly birthday on the 7th of December in London. So if you go on the Damilola Taylor website, you'll see that we're going to be at Soul Mama on the 7th of December to acknowledge his life. So if you're in East London at the time and you want to join us, please do so. And also, I know, again, the restrictions that you have through the economic climate, and you need to do more with less. And of course, we know that occupational cultures can be very challenging. Some of you will have known in policing the Charing Cross scandal, where officers were found with a their terrible way of dealing with prisoners in the custody units, and it was terrible how we saw even the sergeant involved in a way that, as a sergeant myself, in the early days, I couldn't conduct myself in that way. I would be trying to calm the officers down or showing that ethical leadership I've spoken about. But unfortunately, the sergeant seemed to be the sort of main sort of protagonist in all of that, and set a tone which I thought was definitely conduct unbecoming of him, and they're now facing misconduct hearings. So we know that there is definitely so many challenges, which has been highlighted by Shireen Daniels and the case review looking into the death of Sarah Everard. So there's so much, again, trying to ensure those recommendations have the impact it should have, and the outcomes we want to see. We want to see a better police service, and you will have your own policies and practices you have to ensure is baked into your organisation to get the culture changes. That's really important. And that sort of civic engagement with our young people, I think it's so important that they know the system in their communities, how they can excel and not become a sense of being a victim of the system. So I'm going to close by saying that we're in challenging times, but we've got to know that we're able to do so much, and working together, collaborating together is key to all of that. So I'd like to think from this, you never know, we might work together, especially in London. Because again, with Voyage, we want to work across the country because we know we've got the cultural competence to work with our young people, not only at year 9, but we are developing our alumni program. So I'm ashamedly plugging it, but these are sort of things we need to be looking at, and how we can raise our game, how we can really develop things in a way that is making a difference. Because we all want to look ourselves in the mirror after we hang up our hat or on our coat. We say, well, have we done the best we can? I've had to do that at the end of 30 years in the Met, and I still had a smile on my face. And I still have a smile now. It's something that makes me be authentic to myself and how I want to leave a legacy. And you might think it's all utopian and everything, but it makes a difference. So, as they say, one of the important things, especially in sporting terms, and not everyone's into sports, I know, but one of the key things is always to leave your best effort on the sporting field. Did anyone see Scotland yesterday? Did you see that match? It's on iPlayer. Go and watch it. It's an amazing game that at one stage they will look like they're going out, they're not going to get into the World Cup, or they'll have to go to the playoffs, and they just turned it around and they won 4-2. And two of the most amazing games that just shows they left everything on the field of play. So that's what I want you to do. And I know you will do it. And you don't need an ex-cop, even though I like to think I'm an educator as well, to say this to you. And I really commend you for what you do. And I know the importance of the work you do and the challenges you face. As I said, my daughter is going through the same things. But please, let me tell you, when you leave your best effort on the field of play, it will make such a difference. And look what it did to me. Thank you.